could start the streaming right now. Give me 1 minute. Let me just get the video ready. Give me 1 second. Let me get my welcome screen and then we'll be ready to go. Okay. Chantal, let me know when you start. Okay. Give me a second. We'll get cracking. All right. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everyone, to I got to fix this. Two seconds. Too much going on. All right, everyone. Welcome, everyone, to the Pro Trader and Plus Apple earnings. My name is Lee Goldstein, Trading Director at 10-Minute Trades. Remember, please, it's possible to lose money trading futures, so please trade carefully. All right, Coinbase just came out. I just don't really see much going on. It's not going to move the NQ, not when they're expecting Apple to come out. Apple's going to be a big move. Amazon or not, Apple's still going to move the market. So let's talk a little bit about the history of Apple and what the deal is, and then we'll come back. And when we're done, we'll come back and deal with everything that took place. So Apple, years ago, if you all remember, the futures used to close at 4:15 to 4:30. Who remembers that? That the futures used to close 4:15 to 4:30. So we did our research, and the research was extremely complicated because when the market is closed, what happens is a gap is created when the market reopens. So rather than let me show you, I will show you a video, but let's get our Apple set up, okay? Let's get Apple set up so we don't have to rush. So I've already got my Amazon trade here. I'm going to change the time to 6:29:56, okay? 16:29, not 6, 16:29:56. 16:29:56. It's a very similar setup, just the time is different. Same bracket, same targets, okay? Same targets, same bracket, same targets, same stop. Bracket 75, stop of 65. Choose your targets. You don't have to do what I do. Choose what you want to do, okay? I'm choosing targets somewhere between 25 and 125. That's what I think Apple could move. It could move even more, okay? If somebody wants to tell us, somebody meaning Chantal, what was the gap, Amazon? How much did it gap? If you feel like telling me, I would be forever grateful. The interesting history of Apple. So 16:29:56, our orders go on the chart. Apple's usually very good about release time. It's usually right at 16:30 and a couple of seconds. Okay. Larry, what's 373? More money you made? More money? Nothing wrong with that. Let's check our bracket size. All right. Change our label to Apple. All right. We check our bracket in sim, not live. by setting the time to 0 and putting our charts on 0 on sim. Market's making a nice new high. And then we check our brackets. There's our brackets. Okay, there's our brackets. So we were talking a little bit about the history. Let me go back, do all the things we got to do. The breakout 16:29:56. So years ago, that's my entry time, 4:29:56 Eastern time. Years ago, what we used to see happen, the market would close, but we knew from our testing that Apple released very close to 4:30, right? Very, hang on, folks. And what that did is it created a gap. The second we started, okay, the second we started, there would be a gap. I have to do something, so forgive me. Let me just, I need to reset my trade up. I'm sorry. So I'm looking for a template. See if I have an Apple template. I probably do. So it really complicated, really complicated getting a setup because we knew the market would be closed when we were possibly ready to trade. So we couldn't, you can't put your orders on the chart before the market's open because the market's the market won't get the orders, right? They're not going to get them. They won't get transmitted. So you have to wait for the gap, and it's very frustrating. Very frustrating. Make a long story short, waiting for that gap meant that a lot of the times we would totally miss the trade, or we would get our orders on the chart and we'd get stopped because we didn't get our orders on the chart at the right time. Everything about it was really frustrating. So that's just one of those things that we had to deal with. And then I don't know why it happened, but the markets don't close anymore at 4:15 to 4:30. I don't know why. Why is that? Who made that decision? I do not know. If you're watching us on YouTube, thanks for watching our stream. If you'd be kind enough to hit the like button, we'd really appreciate it. Thanks for watching our Apple earnings stream. So a bracket of 75, a stop of 65, targets anywhere between 25 and 120, somewhere in there. And then I'll check my bracket size like we always do. All right, good size bracket. Everything looks good. Go back to Apple. Go back to the breakout. Put the time back in, 16:29:56 Eastern time. That's 4:29:56. Our orders go on the chart. Put the charts back on live. Apply it and okay it. And I can show you an old Apple trade where the market was closed. Let's do one more thing and just check our time sync by going to the website time.is. My computer is in sync. Apple does release very reliably when they say they're going to release. So this was back in 2020. Back in 2020, the market was closed from 4:15 to 4:30. So watch, it's interesting. You're looking at the NQ price. What's also interesting is we were trading on tick charts back then. We were trading on tick charts, 210 tick charts. I don't remember why, but it was just that's what we started doing earnings. We were doing tick charts. But you could see the price is not moving. So a gap is going to get created between 4:15 and 4:30 makes it really tricky. So we were looking at videos too. It makes it really tricky to figure out when to put your orders on. You have to wait until the market opens. Otherwise, the orders don't get transmitted. Okay. Putting an order on a chart, that doesn't transmit the orders, right? That's just for us seeing the orders on the chart. They actually have to get transmitted, and that's done. See how there was a giant gap? That was an impossible trade to trade. The move was already over before I could get my orders on. So you can understand how frustrating it was to trade Apple back then. The markets were closed. You couldn't get your orders on at the right time. It was really, really frustrating. So fortunately, we don't have to deal with that anymore. We're just getting a release time that we can count on. Um, for the past years, we've been doing this now for years. Apple very reliably releases their earnings just a few seconds after 4:30. They have been sticking to that release time for years. All right. So that's what we're going to do. That's what our setup reflects. We have to trust our earnings, trust our setups, trust our testing, trust something. Okay. Trust. I certainly can't trust my talking. Can't trust my brain anymore. Now, it's interesting, but we had two Amazon stops in a row. We got stopped last quarter and we got stopped the quarter before. You can't, so it didn't change the way I traded because remember sometimes when we do our challenges, we talk about our DNA, trade the best reports that give you the best opportunity for profit. That's our DNA, and it really, it's what we've especially been trying to do more and more as time goes on. That's what we do. We trade our DNA, the reports that offer the best probability. But so, someone could say, hey, but you had two stops in a row on Amazon. Why'd you trade it? Why did you trade it? But one of the things I said, it's like I would always trade Amazon. I mean, if it had five losses in a row or four really bad losses in a row, then we might look to trade it differently. But the one thing you can pretty much accept is that Amazon, the stock itself, is going to have a very good move, and it's still probably going to move the NQ very well. You're still going to get a good move. So even though it may not have performed well for a couple of quarters, it still fits the DNA as being a report that gives us the best probability for profit. It hasn't gone into an area where we're putting it in watch mode. Now, maybe if we had another bad Amazon today, we would consider just thinking seriously about what's wrong. Three in a row, three is a pattern. Two is not. Two in a row is not a pattern. It's just two in a row. But three in a row, at least to me, that's a pattern. And that gets my radar up. So that's why sometimes even if a trade has not been performing that great, it might even still be a family money trade because it still offers a good probability of profit. So just because a report is going through a bad period, it doesn't mean that it still can't be a report that you really want to trade and a report that even could still be a family money trade. So that's just sometimes there's confusion or people don't always understand. Well, how can you make GDP a family money trade? But you can because GDP, as long as we have a good setup, a fairly reliable setup, it's still going to have a great opportunity to give you a profit. So, it's like the opposite of the oil report. The oil report, it gives you a great opportunity for a move. That's the difference between oil and gas and something like Amazon or Intel or Facebook. Facebook, we got stopped out, I think, a couple of quarters ago. And you look at Facebook and you go, I'm looking forward to that trade because it's still a good opportunity for profit. The oil reports, the gas reports, they're a good opportunity for good movement, but nothing's going to probably change their inconsistency. Okay. These are just some of the psychological things that I think about, that we think about when we make something a family money trade or decide what the stop size should be, whether or not it should be a breakout, choosing between a breakout and a trap. Now, that is one of the hardest things to do. Today was a tricky day because we had the Bank of England, the perfect example. We've got all our testing and we've got literally as many trap trades that worked as breakouts. And in fact, when you test the breakout on the Bank of England, it does a lot of whipping and it's really hard sometimes to trade it. So sometimes you lean towards the trap in those situations. Sometimes it's very challenging to decide which is the better setup. You might have two very successful setups, two very potentially safe setups. Sometimes it's really impossible to make a decision on which one to trade. That's why it's great when there's a good micro. With Apple earnings or with anything in the NQ, you could always trade micro MNQ. So you can try two different setups and you could get a very good idea of how one is behaving over the other one. All right, so let's get ready. So Apple, I do expect that they will release their earnings on time. That means 16:30 and a couple of seconds. Now, look, they could release early. This stuff happens. It just there's no rules. There's no law that says Apple has to do it when they've done it before. The good thing about Apple is it tends to be a little bit more like a jobs report because there's usually not a lot of waiting. They usually are really good about the release time. Everybody's really quiet. I hope everybody's okay out there and that you're having a good time and that you're learning. So we've just got a couple of minutes to go. Just a couple more to go. Tomorrow we got the jobs report. That's the last event of the week. U.S. jobs, always an exciting report to trade. Been trading that since I've been here, more than 7 years. All right, so usually with Apple, there's not a lot to do. It's usually pretty quick. It's usually pretty quick. Larry, do you mean palpitations? Is that what you mean? Earnings trades are not good if you have heart issues. That's for sure. All right. So what's interesting is Amazon's earnings came out, they hit a new high, pulled back, NQ pulled back somewhat, and then it pushed up still. All right, so our brackets will go on at around 56, we said. I try not to adjust them. I prefer not to adjust unless I have to. I'd rather get pulled in at the right time. Now that I had to adjust. I'm canceling. I'm canceling. I may be wrong, folks, but when Apple doesn't explode, those earnings are out. Those earnings are out. I missed them. I don't really care. They're out. I missed it. It didn't explode. I'm not trading it. I'm not trading it. Now, you do have that reversal set up, right? You've got that reversal set up. Apple, it might be Amazon, just too much movement. Too much movement. It's very possible. Very possible. Apple reporting some negative news, a little bit of negativity. Usually my favorite earnings trade out of all of them. I don't like to chase, so I'm just watching. I'll take my $1,000 on Amazon today, and I'll probably call it a day. Now I'm sure maybe some people trade it out there, but I have a lot of risk on. I have almost $1,000 of risk, and if things aren't working the way they're expected to work, I don't want to take that risk. So it did not move the way I was expecting. So Fred, I'm glad you made some money back. Glad you made some money back. Now it looks like there's a downward trend here. So look, we had a trade. You know, I don't like. It's a little bit late for the chase now. That's the truth. It's a little bit late for the chase. So for me, I'm just gonna sit. I'm just gonna sit. I'm disappointed because I would have rather had a $2,000 day today. Sander, there might be something going on with your internet. It could be related to the speed of your internet. Because look, you could get errors. Errors are possible, but you shouldn't get them all the time. You should not get them all the time. Have you done a speed test? Have you done a recent speed test to check your speed? So, you know, a chase might have worked. A chase might have worked. Apple's definitely pulling down the NQ. Maybe, you know, I didn't think this through. Maybe the trade was a short trade and not even to consider a long today because Amazon pushed the market up. in retrospect, maybe on a day when there's two such big stocks releasing, we could try to think outside the box a little bit. It might have been a possibility to grab that short. We'll watch the video in a minute. So let's just let the price trade for a minute or two. People tell us what happened. Kevin, now you can see why I use a 75 tick bracket. That would have filled me. I was using the adjust button. Otherwise, if I had a 50 tick bracket, that would have filled me. But that would have been a good direction, though. It would have been okay. Depending when, actually, depending when, right? You could have gotten into trouble because it went up first and then it went down. So people are writing in, Greg, I adjusted because I was concerned about getting filled before the news was out. That's the reason I would adjust. That's the only reason I would use the adjust. And we'll look at the video. It looked like there was too much movement on the NQ. Okay. So that's the whole point of the adjust button. And you can use it for any breakout trade. If you think you're getting filled too soon, press the adjust button and it'll recenter the brackets. Okay. Thank you, Roz. I hope it was worth staying up. That's your first earnings experience? Okay, Alex. Alex, take care. Hope you enjoyed it also. Sander, we got to try and figure out what's going on with your internet. Sanders, send me that error. Sander, did you remember to have your Ninja script output as part of your trading platform? In other words, if you go to tools and you go to new and go to Ninja script output, see how I have all this text in the Ninja script output? That's because I have the Ninja script output open before a news trade, and everything that the software tries to do, it writes to this file or into this window. And what you want to do is copy and paste everything that's in that window and send it to us in an email. Okay. If you do not have your Ninja script output open, you should open it right now, new Ninja script output. It'll be blank, minimize it, and this goes for everybody, and save it as part of your workspace. This is my earnings workspace. When I save it, now the Ninja script output will always open as part of my earnings trading workspace. So if ever there's an issue, I don't get filled or something wild happens, and I'm not sure why the software did something, I can look it up by checking that file, and we can send it to the programmer, even more importantly. Okay, so let me start it over from scratch. So Sander, go to new. Go to new. Go to Ninja script output. Let me say thank you everyone for watching us on streaming. Folks, I forgot everybody was watching us on streaming. So Nikita, we take a trade if it's appropriate to take a trade. Today, I did not take an Apple trade, but quite a few of our members did. For me, it didn't behave the way I expected it to, so I did not take the Apple trade. Right before you got here, though, we took an Amazon trade. We made over $1,000, real money. So just come back to more streams and you will see us trade, I promise. But sometimes if things aren't the way we expect or want them to be, we will not trade. We want it to be right and we want to make money. We don't want to trade just because, okay? Thanks everybody for watching us on the live stream. This is our stream of the week. We stream once a week all the time. Hit the like button on your way out. I want to thank you very much for watching us, and we'll see you next week, probably for the WASD report. Take care, everybody, on YouTube. Thank you very much.